Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us here once again on ProStar's channel. We're, of course, sitting here with Paige once again, and we want to dive into some recent updates. It's been a little bit, Paige. How you holding up?
Oh, actually, it's been a pretty busy and hectic last couple of weeks, but all positive and things are going great. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Kick off. Tell us a little bit about how things have been going. I know the stock price had suffered a little bit, but seems to be coming back now. Volumes going up. What do we accredit this to?
Well, I think there's several things involved in it. I think part of it is that since March, I think the entire microcap market was under serious duress, and of course, we were caught up in that vacuum as well, and had very little control over it. As frustrating as it is, you don't want to see your share price continuously descend, but that's what happened. And then, like anything else, and we even had some analysts take a look at it, where it appeared it had hit bottom,
Mhm.
and is now slowly coming back up. I think we have a lot more eyes on us than we've ever had before. I think that's reflected even in this week in our volume. Our volume is significantly higher this week than it's ever been since we started trading in January. And I think that's just a result of a lot more eyes on us. Also, finally, the infrastructure bill was passed. And I think people see the potential of how that could, have a positive impact on ProStar, because we're poised quite well to capitalize on that money coming in through the federal government and down to the DOTs, and then of course ultimately down to the municipal market. So I
Yes.
just think there's several components that are working in our favor, and as a result, we're starting to see our share price increase again. And as I mentioned, I mean, for us, it's record volume this week.
Yeah, a lot of things have definitely lined up lately. As you said, you guys have been nose to the grindstone. Now you're getting the fruits of your labors coming, the infrastructure bill, the uplisting, and so on. So, like, there's more and more things bringing attention to you now.
Yeah, like I said, there's just more eyes on us in the market. I mean, we didn't list onto the OTCQB until August, and then we've been doing a lot more marketing into the capital markets in the U.S. But it's like starting over, right? It takes a few months for people to really get you on their radar. They start tracking you, they start watching in you. Maybe they dabble in the market, buy a few thousand shares just so you're on their radar. But in addition to that, part of our plan was initially to list on the venture, and then of course list on the OTCQB, but then uplist from the OTCQB onto the OTCQX, which even provides more credibility, broader visibility. In fact, some banks in the US and a lot of investors won't even invest in companies that are on the QB. They'll wait for them to uplist to the QX. And I'm expecting sometime this month, probably the latter part of the month, that will announce that we have uplisted to the QX. We've already been approved. We're just going through all the requirements that need to be completed, and then we'll be uplisted. So I'm pretty excited about that as well.
Yeah, I mean that does open a whole nother layer of a floodgate of interest, so to speak, into the stock. Then, and speaking of that, you guys also announced an upsizing to your previously announced private placement financing. So you're getting some love on the private side too. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we're working with Echelon on a broker deal to raise $4 million on the financing through Echelon, and then we set aside another $1 million for non-brokered, which was really to address U.S. investors that we knew that would express an interest, and the demand was actually overwhelming. We're seriously oversubscribed. So the announcement that we put out this morning was that we're actually upsizing the finance to $5 million Canadian on the Echelon financing. And then on the non-brokered, we're actually increasing it from 1 million to 3.5 million, because again, the demand in the US was significantly higher than we had expected, which is good news. It just means, as I mentioned, there's more eyes on us and a higher level of interest. And I think a lot of it does tie into the fact that that infrastructure bill was finally passed. There's a lot of investors out there that try and take a look at the ecosystem based on that infrastructure bill and who could be positively impacted by that, and obviously we're popping up on their radar.
Yeah, you guys really do fit perfectly into it as someone to look at. So yeah, more power to him there. That's a smart move. So last but not least, have you made any other partnerships lately? Anything else worth bringing to people?
Yeah, I think we announced a couple weeks ago that we had a partnership with Bad Elf, which is a precision GPS and GNSS equipment manufacturer. And we, if you will, made the partnership a little tighter, where they wanted to do was take PointMan Plus,
Mhm.
which is basically our introductory level data collection software, and sell PointMan with every piece of equipment they sell, which is huge exposure for us. They're a smaller company. They're relatively new on the market. I would call them disruptive based on their technology and also on their price point. But they're selling over 1,000 receivers every year. So that exposes us to 1,000 more potential users and companies, not only in the United States, but around the world. I'm also in discussions now with another strategic partner we have that's a GPS equipment manufacturer about doing the exact same thing that Bad Elf is doing, where
Hmm.
they'll also sell PointMan Plus with every piece of equipment they sell, and they're much bigger than Big Elf. So, yeah, our strategic partnerships are starting to pay dividends. We're kind of, if you will, increasing the ante with those partnerships where they want to basically sell, our solution with every piece of equipment they sell. So potentially what that allows us to do is then upsell them to PointMan Pro, right? So it's just more exposure for us through our, I call, channel partners that have, a footprint not only in the United States, but, in Canada and also other parts of the world. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely laying out some more partnership verticals out there. Definitely planting some seeds. They're gonna bud as time goes along here, which is great to see. So, Paige, what else has been going on? Any last words you want to share before we go?
yeah, well, a couple things. I mean, I'm pretty excited about the financing and the fact that we're going to have operational capital. We've moved basically out of what I consider to be research and development and testing mode. We had a lot of big companies like Kiewit testing our product. Anytime you have a disruptive technology that is going to kind of completely dismantle and change, business practices that have been well entrenched in an industry for, over 25 years, it's the change management process. Where you actually have to have companies that they need to prove that this works because it's hard for them to believe
Mhm.
that we can provide what it is that we say we can provide, which is centimeter accuracy on a standard mobile device with all of the calculations done in the cloud, and that information basically being provided, back to the users either out in the field or in the office in a matter of seconds. Um, Everyone said that was almost impossible to achieve. So we had to prove that we could deliver on that. And we're working with big companies like Kiewit. I would call them early adopter of technologies and a huge influencer in the market. But it took over a year for us even to convince them that we could deliver. And now, of course, we're expanding into other projects and other divisions within Kiewit. So that provided us a tremendous amount of credibility and visibility. And of course, the mandate with CDOT. I mean, that took a couple of years to get to the point where they were confident that we could actually provide on what it is we said we can deliver, and then get to the point where they actually mandated it. And then, of course, working with all the equipment manufacturers like Trimble, Bad Elf, as I mentioned, Juniper Systems, and then the electromagnetic utility locate and pipe manufacturers like Radio Detection and Vivex Metrotech and Subsite. So what we've done is we've kind of created all these partnerships with our clients, also the equipment manufacturers, government agencies. And so I use that word credibility and visibility out in the market where people aren't questioning if we can deliver it because they say, well, if Kiewit's using it and
Yeah.
equipment manufacturers have embraced it and government agencies, have mandated it, at the state level, then obviously this works. So it's becoming easier for us to sell our product. And in fact, we're finding now customers are reaching out to us. For example, just the other day, we had a national company go online, fill out a form online that they would like to receive a demo, which then automatically gets scheduled. Then we demoed them, and now it looks like we're going to acquire them as a client. Well, that's a complete change. We used to have to call them, explain to them what we do, how it works. In some cases, they might want to test it for up to 30 or 60 days, which we would have to pay for that. So we're getting out of that stage where people actually, they know who we are, they know what we do, and they believe that we can deliver. So again, we're moving out of what I call the R&D and testing and proving stage, which has been almost 3 years,
Yeah.
moving into sales and marketing mode and ramping up our sales and marketing. I just hired another salesperson. I'm trying to hire even another one. So we're increasing our sales force significantly, which means obviously our sales number and client acquisition should also increase. And then of course with this financing, I mean, it gives me the capital that I need to accelerate our business plan and our roadmap. So, you know, I'm pretty excited. I always said that I'm pretty excited about what's going on in the fourth quarter, which will then lead to momentum in the first quarter of next year. So I'm pretty excited about the prospects that lie ahead for us.
Yeah, Paige, I would say at this point, the shoe's on the other foot. Like you said, people are now coming to you guys. And I feel like you guys have now established yourselves a lot more, so to speak, over the course of these years, right? Now the momentum's really starting to pick up for you, which is wonderful to see.
Well, in addition to that, we're expanding into other market verticals. And what that does is some of these are large companies, some of these are really small entities, which I'm just as excited when we bring on board a large client as I am a really small client, because what it does, it shows how expansive our market is and the potential. I mean, you know, with the new Point Man Pro, you know, that'll operate the operational requirements for Fortune 500 company, a large government agency, large engineering surveying firms. But as you know, now we're bringing on small municipalities. We just recently brought on a university that we'll announce, Tulsa, Oklahoma Zoo, that we just
Huh.
announced.
Yeah.
In fact, I love the title of the press release. Tulsa, Oklahoma Zoo adopts ProStar's Point Man to protect the public, the pipes, and the penguins. You know, we add a little humor in there, but what I'm so excited about, as I mentioned, it just shows how big our market is and how broad our client base is, and not only in the United States, but other parts of the world. You know, we just onboarded a large engineering surveying firm in Canada, so now we're expanding into other parts of the world. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited about where we are, and also knowing that we're going to have the operational capital to make sure that we can execute on our business plan. And it's enough money to last us to when we become cash flow positive and provides lots of runway. So yeah, things are looking good.
Wonderful, Paige. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Sounds like a lot of things are really moving right now. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you guys have any questions about anything going on, don't be afraid to reach out to us and we'll get back to you. But also stay tuned for the next video coming soon. Paige, have a wonderful day.
My pleasure.